Yeah, so if you send it in by registered mail, they have to sign for it to receive it. And then now you have proof that it's been sent to the courthouse. And if the clerk of the court wants to refuse it, then she's going to have to send you your documents back with a letter. And the letter is going to say something like, your documents are being returned to you because they do not comply with the rules of civil procedure. And then you have something in writing by them. So it's not just he said, she said.
Right.
And it's very unlikely they're going to sign it, but at least you're going to have proof on paper that they refused somebody. Hopefully it'll have at least a typed name, but I really doubt that they're going to sign anything. But everything should be done on paper, never by phone and never face-to-face. I would say send everything registered mail because they're obviously giving you a hard time filing it.
And most of us are having this problem. You know, like you're not alone. That most of us are having this problem, so we're just trying to figure out a better way.
Because when it's a face-to-face conversation, there's nothing on paper. There's no proof whatsoever.
Right.
And they know if it's a conversation back and forth, they know they're going to beat you because they do this for a living.
Yeah.
They do it all day, every day, and they know that they know their process and procedure, and they know you're going to have to figure out a way to get around what they're saying.
Well, you also though, at the end of it, what we're also saying is you're going to need evidence that they're doing it, and you know the only thing you're going to be able to submit that I'm understanding is what is written, what they've written, what you've written, not what is spoken. If you end up having to do anything to do with trespass on the case, or you know giving legal advice, or anything like that, you need that evidence. You can't just say it.
Hey, this is John.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi, John.
How are you?
Good. Very good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to add something I learned when I went through this process that you're speaking about. Can
you speak up, John?
I already knew that they were going to do that when I filed my claim, like we all do. So what I did is I sent mine in by registered mail. And it took them less than 24 hours to reject it and send it back. So right away, I mean, I didn't waste any time at all. I wrote a letter to the clerk and to the man who acts as a clerk and the man who acts sometimes as a building manager. And I said, okay, that's my property. You're using my property without my consent. That's theft. And that makes a trespass on the case. So I'm going to give you 3 days to correct your error. 3 days went by. Obviously, they couldn't correct the error because they sent the claim back to me, but they could have made an effort to contact me. I put my phone number in the letter I sent them. So then I went back down, filed the claim. I sent a second letter after the 72 hours went by to the same man who acts as a clerk and the other man who acts as a building manager, and I said, okay, you didn't do what I told you to do, so now I feel that I require just compensation, and I may file a claim. And I put an amount in, $5,000 plus $500 a day. Now, that was 3 weeks ago. I put the exact same claim back into the court, and I've been filing documents in there ever since, you know, just augmenting the filing, you know, like order to seal case, that type of stuff. So communicating with the man who acts as a building manager and the clerk, and letting them know that what they're doing is theft. They're using your property without your permission. That's your property. They can't touch your property. They can't review your property. They can't study your property. It's your property. But you got to let them know that. And part of it's having empathy for the fact that they're used to doing things over and over and over the same way. I mean, the judiciary knows what they're doing, but the clerks are just little robots running around doing what they do. And you bring something in that's a little different, they're going to jump on that.
Yeah.
So you just have to straighten them out. But just keep in mind it's your property. You've got to keep that at the forefront of your mind. And you let them know that you know that. And it's no different than if they came and took your car out of the driveway and went for a joyride. That's theft. So I hope that helps you.
Okay. I was under the impression that you went down in the flesh and put your claim in.
I did. I'm leaving parts of the story out to keep it brief, but that claim, I wouldn't have gotten that claim filed if I hadn't done the 2 letters.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of ways I know that. I'm trying to keep this brief and useful. Is because when I went down to file my claim in person, the whole clerk's office was there except for the head clerk, because he's the guy that I'm putting under the spotlight for what he did. And they were all there doing their best to convince me that my claim was a pleading. Well, first they started off trying to convince me it was a complaint. And then I went through the definition of what a complaint is with them and a claim. They had never heard that before. And I asked them up front, are you speaking in common English parlance to me, or are you speaking in legalese to me? Because I don't speak legalese. And they said, no, we're speaking common English parlance. They actually parroted it back to me. And I said, oh, good. So we're gonna have a very productive conversation. And we are speaking about my property. Is that correct? And they didn't know what that meant. So I had to explain that to them. I gave them the definition of property. I created those documents. They cost me money. They cost me time. Do any of you have any investment in my property?
Excellent.
So they just stood silent. So I said, now let me deal with your interpretation that my documents are a complaint. What do you mean by complaint? So they didn't have an answer. And then the older one, who obviously was the more experienced one, said, well, you have to tell a story. You got to tell how you were hurt, what on and what date. And I said, where do you get off with telling me how I have to write my claim? I just kept referring back to the claim. And they said, well, that's how everybody does it. So what everybody does makes the law? Well, that's the rules of the court. I said, so what makes you think the rules of the court apply to a man? Let's get back to your original accusation. Your original accusation was, my documents are a complaint. Do you know what a complaint means? Or are you just making up a word out of thin air? And so they said that they admitted they didn't know what a complaint means. So I told them what it meant. And then I told them what a claim means. So a complaint is whining. It's grief and wailing. I said, do you hear my documents wailing or whining? Do you hear me wailing or whining? I said, my claim is a demand by right. I have a right to stop the harm that's happening to me. Do you dispute that? And that's how it went for 40 minutes. So then she got clever and she called it a pleading. And we went through the same exercise again. By the time they were done, they convinced themselves they had to give me the claim number. That's the bottom line. So is this complicated? Yeah. No, it's not. It's simple. Just know.
You just got to be able to stand your ground, though, and know what the hell you're talking about when you go in there. And if you're a little bit unsure, then just send it in writing.
Here's all you got to, in my estimation, this is just me. I don't have all the answers. In my estimation, what you need to know is, what is property? Are those documents your property? What is a claim? What is a complaint? And what is a pleading? If you have those 4, you're probably going to get your claim number. Because keep in mind, I'm cutting a lot out of the story. They had rejected my claim. They mailed it back to me. It was in their computer. It was mailed back. When they came out to talk to me, they were, what are you doing here? We sent you your claim back. You can't file that thing.
Don't cut a lot out of the story. You got 4 hours and 40 minutes to go.
Actually, I don't. I got a lot of work I got to do here on my own stuff. But I'm trying to keep this simple though, and not let it be. You know, I went through that phase of complicating it, and I still do. I'm still learning, but I'm trying to help the gentleman who was talking keep this simple. Number one, it's your property. Okay, you got to get that firm in your mind. And if it helps you, use an analogy for yourself. Would you let those clerks or that the man who acts as a clerk or the woman who acts as a clerk come and sit in your car and take it for a ride without your permission, without just compensation?
Yeah, well, you got to be careful. You got to be careful because the reason why you probably don't really realize why they're giving you such a hard time, John, is because how it technically works is when you give your case to the court, you're surrendering your case to the court. And what you're doing is you're giving it up to them to judge. So what they're asking you to do is to give them the original. And if they believe they have the original, they believe that you just gave away your property. So when I give it to the court clerk, I make sure I said, ma'am, do you understand? See, this says copy. Yeah, copy. I'm only going to give up the original to the jury.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah. See, like I said, it gets a little kind of technical. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like I said, they're going to say, no, we get the original. No, we don't get the original because we are not surrendering property to a court clerk. We will surrender it to the jury. Okay? But like I said, that's what I'm saying. That's why I just got to make like a DVD and just show you guys from point 1 to point 20. Because, like I said, see, you probably said to yourself, oh, wow, Cole, that probably would have been a great point to know. Yeah, it probably would have. But it takes hours to explain 1 to 20. And just like you said, there's a lot more to this, and you got things to do, and you really don't want to, be doing this. The same thing with me. I mean, if you guys saw my hand, the jet black. I'll put some pictures of my car up on the internet that just got done painting. But like I said, that's why if I have to repeat it every single time to every single person that calls me on the phone, it gets a little ridiculous. So to me, it's like, you know what, I just got to make a DVD and say, look, when you want to file something with the court clerk, this is what happens. What? Don't give her the original. She thinks she has the original. She thinks she has total control of your property. Why? Because you abandoned it. You surrendered it. You gave it to a total stranger, and they're going to have out of that will. Really? Yeah, really. You better make them aware that it's a copy and not the original. And then you've got the copy and the original safekeeping, and you're going to surrender it to the jury. And then the jury's going to bounce it off your head, and the jury's going to say this is a piece of crap. You see what I'm saying? But they're not allowed to say it. The clerk can't say it. The magistrates can't say it.